we've got some viewer mail today.
All right.
And so let me read these, and then maybe we can engage in some discussion.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Someone came on to Facebook just today. Her name is, I'm going to say Shana, but it might be Shanna.
Okay.
Marie. And she said, how does a woman approach a Muslim man in speaking with generally, but even speaking of spiritual things? Now, the first time I read this, I thought she was trying to date a Muslim guy. And my first thought was, well, it's not going to be normal. You're not going to meet him in a singles bar.
Likely not. I mean, it's not to say that there aren't Muslims like Christians and Jews and others that don't go to bars. They do,
Right.
But yeah, likely, it's not the hangout.
So she's probably, though, speaking of just how do you approach them, especially if you want to have a spiritual discussion.
Yeah, spiritual conversation.
What's a good way to approach?
I mean, good God, as far as I know, Muslims like anybody else, probably sometimes even more when you're a minority class and a lot of people talk about your religion quite a bit. You're kind of ready to go. You want to discuss religion and spirituality and things like that. So I would think just a normal normal introduction and just say, really curious, are you Muslim? And if so, if they say yeah, then you would say, well, it's interesting. I'm a Christian, and I really just thought it would be neat to talk to a Muslim about, their faith or so on and so forth. Muslim men get a lot of, bad media for being this, that, and the other, things like that. I mean, I know if somebody approached me, asked me about faith or my faith or why I grow my beard or whatever, I'm ready to go. I'm excited. Yeah, let's talk. Let's sit down and chat.
Yeah, you are.
And I don't mean that just as a Muslim leader, as an educator or something like that, but just the idea that living in a place where your faith is kind of scrutinized quite a bit, you definitely want opportunities to talk about it. You really do.
Right.
And with on the flip side, I think Muslim men, might, you don't want to make that move to start talking about faith. Maybe you're afraid somebody might, take it wrong or something. And so they might take it very well. They might take it very well. My understanding is they do. My understanding is if non-Muslim women approach Muslim men to talk about their faith, that they tend to be more than happy to discuss it.
Okay, so here's my experience with you. The first time that I said, hey, why don't you give me your phone number and let me buy you breakfast at Mimi's? And I still remember your initial response, which was, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the interview had a little bit, a little difficulty involved. More than
well, yeah, we just finished a fairly.
Why do you want to have lunch with me?
We had just finished a fairly contentious interview.
Yeah. Well, when you're the big bad wolf on the block, you always wonder why the sheep want to have, or even the shepherds might want to have. In your case, you're a shepherd, want to have lunch with you or breakfast with you or anything. But I've learned that people aren't as intimidated. They're more than happy to sit and hear you out. And after their first conversation with me, usually, it's all good after that. So.
Right. And so two things. I mean, if I were to speak to Shauna, Marie, I would say, just step in. Step in.
Yeah, that's my whole. That's kind of my point. Yeah.
And although,
especially it has to do with faith.
For your community versus mine, you can't look at someone and say, well, that's a Christian or that's a this. But oftentimes, I can look. Most of us can, and say, well, that's a Muslim. It's just based on their appearance.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's got to be a different reality for you, right?
Right. Well, I think more the females that dress in accordance with Islamic law, they tend to obviously be clear as day. You could see that. The men, if they're Middle Eastern, and even Eastern Asian, I mean, that you do get, people from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and places like that, the coloring, the beards, things like that, they tend to stand out. And so you tend to know, generally speaking. That's why Sikhs get confused from Muslims a lot and things like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you do tend to notice, a Muslim male, especially. I mean, female, but male as well.
Male as well.
Yeah, male as well. And not so much so on the other side.
Like you wouldn't. I'm probably never going to see you without a beard.
No, I mean, from the way I understand my faith and the way I want to practice my faith, this is about the minimum beard you're going to see on me.
Okay.
This is bashing from my mom and my wife and my this and my that, trying to get me to, keep it clean and short and trimmed. And generally speaking, there's a hadith that says you can bring it down and to about this length, and others will grow it thicker and whatnot. But the core rule Islamically is that as long as a beard is seen from every direction and it covers your face, if you can grow it. Some people can't grow a beard.
Right.
Then you should maintain a beard. It's part of your. It's just part of our stating that we're men, Whereas a woman should actually remove her facial hair. If she has facial hair on her mustache or anywhere below here, a woman should actually remove her facial hair.
Let me see if I understood what you just said. So you're saying that the fact that Muslim men, the majority, have beards is a statement that they are men.
Not in the sense that you're masculine. Look, I'm strong.
No. I get it.
It's a beauty. It's one of the beauties that God gave you
to differentiate
you from women. There was a time in ancient history that if anywhere, if men shaved their beards in certain places, that it was dishonorable.
Sure.
I mean, it wasn't just Islamic culture or Arabic culture. Christian culture, Jewish culture, Greeks, ancient Greece, and places like that. The shaving of beards was kind of trying to become more feminine, in all honesty.
Oh, okay.
And that was to try to, soften your look, and so on and so forth.
Well, that's really interesting because the first thing I think of when I see your beard.
Listen to you. You got a goatee going there. All right, come on. Just do this.
It's just really pretty.
Oh, good God! You got to stop with the pretty stuff, okay?
All
right. Fair enough.
Let's go to the next question.
But to finish with that, it's kind of
no,
like
we don't
a
need to
lion's
finish with it.
mane.
We got it.
It's like a lion's mane.
Okay, gotcha.